It's that time again. It's the podcast that takes your personal and professional life to a whole new level. Whether you're selling a product, selling a service, or selling yourself, one thing is for sure. You're always selling for life. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Selling for Life podcast, sponsored by Iconic Parts, a world of parts with a personal touch. This podcast is about more than just selling stuff. We think if you stick around, you'll get a lot out of it. I am Steve. Today, I am joined by business owner, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and powerlifter Al Alexander.
I love how you added powerlifter.
Yes, sir. Wanted to make sure everybody knows about what you do in life. You not only make money and make people happy, you also lift weights and flex your muscles every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
Had a little trouble getting this thing off the ground here today. I was trying to figure out the connections for the audio and everything like that. So we're about 15 minutes into this adventure, and I'm going to try to work that into our topic of the day. And our topic of the day is keeping track, taking inventory, having your numbers in front of you, and being organized and know what you're doing before you do it. That way you're not wasting your time.
That is so important.
Sat here for about 15 minutes trying to figure out why I was not getting audio through our mic, our headphones and whatnot. And you know what? That's because I haven't been keeping track of things. And I was watching you and Bob just a few moments ago on the phone with somebody, and you're trying to keep track of keywords and all the things that you guys do behind the scenes here in the business to keep the calls coming in from clients. So, Al, why don't you take it from here? How important is it to know what's going on behind the scenes in your life?
Well, I think, having awareness of specific activities, details, results, numbers, trends, whatever, is literally my skill set.
Mm-hmm.
That is like all I'm about.
Yes, sir.
And counting things and seeing the results. And I don't even think I do a great job at it. It's just that's, if I have learned anything, that has been my edge or the niche, or, someone says, hey, what do you think was the attribute of your success?
Mm-hmm.
Numbers. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Well, God, then numbers.
Right.
Because God made numbers.
Right. And it doesn't have to do just with business or making money. It has to do with just about any aspect of life, really.
Absolutely. Like, my wife and I have been together for like over 17 years. And she has said sorry to me 11 times. I've been keeping track. In the last 5 of those years,
Okay.
she has said sorry to me 8 times.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So the first 12 years, there was 5.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
3.
3. So keep in mind, my wife is getting better. Okay. But how would I know that? Not living with her every day.
Keeping lists.
But keeping track. Numbers, baby.
All right. So if you're, let's just say, trying to lose weight, right? And sometimes people say, well, don't keep track of your weight too much because you may get discouraged. But you certainly want to know your progress, whether it's losing weight or how much weight you're lifting. And so people keep track of numbers, using numbers at the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. I have an app, my Fitness Pal. Right. I know my calorie intake. I know my weight every single day. I actually track my weight every day. Yeah, it makes a difference. My wife actually just texted me an hour or two ago because she's on some kind of thing. She wants to get some things done, and she texted me a number. And I'm like, what the heck's this number?
Okay.
It must mean something, but she hasn't answered back. So
okay.
But yeah, it's important. I was tucking my son in to bed about a month and a half ago. You know what he said to me? Dad, I've been waiting for you for 18 minutes. I thought you were going to let me down. I'm like, how often have I let you down, son? 3 times. He's 11.
Okay.
And I was just talking like, he's emotional, hormones are coming or something. But the kid keeps track of numbers. Like, I'm not talking about like the way you hold a grudge, but he's like keeping track of how much I've let him down in some way.
Right. Okay.
I said, well, dude, don't you think 3 times is a minuscule amount in your whole 11 years for me to let you down? Mm-hmm. And he's like, no. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, well, his perspective will change. But
okay. So when it comes to sales, obviously it's good to know where you're at with numbers, and in large part because you will waste a lot of time if you don't know where you're at and how you're progressing or regressing. And so tell me some ideas of how people in the sales industry can improve on that. What type of techniques can they do? Spreadsheets or what?
Yeah, I mean, generally you could use like a Google document, like a spreadsheet, sheets in Google, or if you have Excel, just open it up. You're going to want to you basically want to take transactions and or activities within a time period. And you want to create, after you start counting these things, say, could be calls that you're taking, calls that you're making, emails that you're taking, emails that you're making. You can segment those things into types of calls, whether they're follow-up calls based on, any immediate interactions or needs, and whether they're long-term relationship building calls to connect. You can record these things, right? And what you want to do is put this in the sheet by time, could be by month, by week, by day, whatever it is. And you want to just do some ratio based on results.
Gotcha.
Once you have this tracking in place, you can look at a period of time, say over a 3-month period, or quarterly or yearly. You'll look back and see the activities you put in, and then the results that came out, and there should be a trend. And that's what we do in sales most of the time. If you are, I'd say, professional in sales, right? Because a professional salesperson wants to be honest and see the results and see the return on their investment.
And I was going to ask you to do that every 3 months, every 6 months. How often do you go back to look at those numbers?
I look at them on a weekly basis. Could be daily, depending on the numbers I'm looking at. It's often. Then you want to take your month view and compare them to other months. There's a lot of things. We basically can track just about within activities, any type of action. Let's say I add something to a certain sales script, or I add a question. I could track whether that question was successful or not by just doing a little tally and then putting it in my spreadsheet later on. I said it 5 times today on these, 5 calls, and the results were whatever. Just keep on tracking and building on things that you can learn about improving yourself.
So if you're addressing a problem and you do that, and then you finally determine what the problem is or was, and you correct it, after that, is it necessary to keep track, or is it something that you can just stop doing?
If you're talking about something specific about, like you said, okay, well, I've added a skill set, or I have a problem, meaning I'm not doing this well in this area, and I've made some adjustments, I've seen the results. You're asking should I continue to see if it works?
Yes.
I would say, yeah. I mean, why not? Unless it's something so minuscule that really didn't make a big ROI.
Right.
Then you'll see that, and it's not worth it. Then you just give it up that way. I'm getting information, hopefully, about my return on my investment, because that's what motivates most salespeople or most business people.
Right.
You want to see the action you put in gave you a result.
Okay. And so, and to use working out and losing weight as an analogy, you do what you got to do to, let's say, lose 30 pounds in a year. You lose those 30 pounds, and from that point on, it's almost like you would keep track just to maintain, I suppose, or just to stay where you're at.
Yeah, it's a really good analogy. If you think about it in that way, then you definitely want to keep track, because what changes? Metabolism.
Yeah.
Physiology.
Okay.
Environmental reasons.
Right.
A lot of things change. Stress levels can change things. So in a business sense, what if you are tracking something, again, that you've already, like you said, overcome something or whatever, why keep on going? Well, things might change.
Okay.
And that thing might creep up. So any numbers that you actually go over and are caring about, I think are important to continue with and look at it from a, we talked about 30,000 foot view before, looking at it from a different perspective sometimes, or, I take for granted some numbers that I track and I'm like, man, look at that. I haven't looked at that in a while. I'm glad I still track it. There's something going on here, or if I come up against an obstacle, I'll go back to my numbers and I'll start looking at the, almost the columns and the lines and how things are moving together. And I might identify, oh, you know what? We've been lacking this. What's going on? And I'll talk to people about it in the organization. Lo and behold, we don't do that postcard anymore after delivery. That's why there's some kind of trend,
Yep.
Really? That postcard stopped? When did you stop that? Oh yeah, that goes along with the trend. Okay, let's start that back up again, It could be anything that you are investing in, your effort. I think you should take a look at numbers. Like, whether my wife says sorry or not. Big difference.
Gotcha.
She's a much better wife now.
Well, stemming from that, coming off of that, why don't you dig deep into your soul and provide an inspirational message? Because that's our segment now.
Great. Hey, pay attention, guys, to things around you, because it matters. The details, the little things, they all count, and they add up in large amounts. So count them. Whether your wife says sorry or not, whether or not she asked you if she looks fat in these jeans. Just pay attention.
Right. Count your blessings.
Count your blessings.
Count your blessings. Name them one by one.
That's the best thing to count, Steve.
Yeah. Very good.
Good job.
All right. Well, that does it for this podcast, our 24th podcast, if you can believe that. It's unbelievable. And I want to thank everyone for joining us. You can check out our website at sellingforlife.com, and you can also email us at contact@sellingforlife.com. So, whether you're trying to sell a keyword, a Google AdWord help service to a couple guys that are really trying to figure out how they can make their phones ring more, or you're trying to convince your dad, you really did disappoint me 3 times. One thing's for sure, you are always
selling for life.